the Ford Mustang. The classic American icon made it to the big screen in the 2000 film Gone in 60 Seconds, where the model with the makeover won a lot of attention. Now everyone, including American baseball star Jason Giambi, wants one. These are the men who can make it happen. They now produce the silver screen version, a Mustang must-have for car fans all over America. It's one very fast, very famous ride. This is the Mustang drive across America. Car enthusiasts from all over the US are driving across the country and pulling out all the stops to celebrate this American classic's 40th birthday. The Mustang is iconic for an entire generation of gearheads, hot rodders, and fabricators.
I got it in 1974 when I was in high school. My first car. My dad, I think, paid like $800 for it.
Some models, like this gatecrasher, are not Mustangs.
This has been my dream car forever. Always had to have the Cobra.
But both the Cobra and the classic Mustang are the brainchild of racing legend turned car designer Carroll Shelby.
I think they became popular because that was what's known now as the golden age of American automobiles, the muscle car era.
And Carroll Shelby knows a little something about building muscle cars.
We were building the Cobras. And Lee Iacocca called me one day and he says, "Hey, I want you to make a sport car out of the Mustang." And I said, "How in the world can you? It's a secretary's car."
But the personal assistant's runaround proved its worth and won the hearts of generations of car enthusiasts.
The Mustang was nothing except a rebodied Falcon. And the Falcon had a little galvanized tin chassis. And what we had to do was stiffen up everything. And I went to Ford and told them we needed a $15,000 budget to build a prototype. This was in 1964. Prices are a little different now. Now it'd be $1 million. And we started to work on the car, and they came back and said, "Well, we can't give you but $1,500.
With a paltry $1,500 and some money borrowed from the Cobra project, Carroll Shelby found a way to build a prototype.
Took it out to Willow Springs, tested, and it was surprising how well it ran. In fact, by the time we finished development, time we went into production, the 65 Mustang won the SCCA National Championship for years after that.
This is the original 1967 Mustang. The average car had a 5-litre V8 engine with a top speed of 177 kilometers per hour. Over 70,000 were produced, and for just under $2,600, anyone could own one. This is a 1967 Ford Shelby GT500, the muscled-up version of the original. It had a 7-litre Shelby-tuned V8 big block engine with a top speed of 225 kilometers per hour. A scant 2,048 were produced, with a price tag of more than $4,600. And this is Eleanor, the superstar car from Gone in 60 Seconds. In In the film, car thieves have one night to nick 50 prized rides. To keep their plan secret, every car gets a code name. And the biggest prize on the list? The 50th job. This Shelby Mustang, codenamed Eleanor. When the original movie premiered in 1974, Eleanor was a 1973 Mach 1. When the film was remade in 2000, the producers wanted a GT500, so they went to Shelby.
I'm glad they made the choice in what they did. Let's face it, the Shelby Mustang is an American icon.
When it came to choosing the car that would play Eleanor, movie execs knew it had to be the GT500. Now they had to pick the right design team. They turned to some of the best in the business. Artist Steve Stanford, hot rod builder Chip Foose, and production designer Jeff Mann, to create a futuristic version of Shelby's original masterpiece.
The door was open to kind of take a fresh look at that car and what we would do with it. And Jerry Bruckheimer was kind of like, why don't you see what you can come up with for this car?
It was a daunting task. Take an American racing legend and give it new life. Its comeback premiere in front of a worldwide audience of millions.
Check this out.
This is Eleanor, the star of the movie Gone in 60 Seconds, a made-over version of the classic GT500 Mustang. As soon as the movie premiered, the buzz started. Everyone wanted one, including American baseball star Jason Giambi.
I fell in love with him. Before you know it, I'm like, I gotta have one of those cars.
He wasn't the only one, but before she was in hot demand, Eleanor was just a prototype. An idea on a drawing board that needed a magic touch to bring her to life. Enter Steve Stanford, Chip Foose, and Jeff Mann.
They needed 7 cars in 4 weeks. I thought, oh wow, this is gonna be crazy, but I'm dumb enough to try it.
I wanted that car to look like the image that was on paper, and Chip was definitely the guy that could help that happen.
The original copy to go by. The overall concept was actually pretty simple. We didn't deviate that far from stock. It wasn't like there was a lot of call for chopping or sectioning or doing a real wild George Barris looking thing. It was supposed to be a believable. It was supposed to be a believable high performance Mustang, and I think we achieved that goal.
They built 12 cars in all, each one made exclusively for the film. Those who wanted an Eleanor of their own were out of luck, until Douglas Hasty saw the film.
When I first saw this car on the big screen, got pretty passionate about it really quick.
He took that passion and turned it into this, a one-off hot rod shop called Unique Performance.
Watching the movie, it's something about this car, the lines on this car. Told the guys we had to build a car.
And now those willing to make the trip to Farmers Branch, Texas, can have an Eleanor of their very own. Because these guys aren't just making one Eleanor, they're making as many as they can.
We'll probably have on the floor anywhere from 15 cars plus in production. As far as the volume of orders that are going, we're doing anywhere from 5 to 7 cars a month in new sales. So that's pretty incredible considering the company is relatively, in this project, a year and a half old.
It's been a roller coaster from the time we started to here we are today. So had a lot of challenges and a lot of hills to climb, but we're building them right now.
As with most custom makeovers, these would-be Eleanors don't start out looking too good. In fact, most of them are in pretty rough condition. That's where the guys at Unique come in. It's their job to give this beaten-up old banger some real star power. When this crew builds an Eleanor, they start in the same way that Carroll Shelby did back when he built his GT500s, tricking out existing fastbacks. But where Shelby used new cars straight from the Ford factory, Unique uses whatever they can get their hands on.
We get the donor cars from all parts of the country. I mean, you name it, they're there. I mean, I have a warehouse here close hereby that we probably got 15, 20 cars sitting right over there now, and every one of those have names on them.
This is the next in line, and she's going to get a total makeover. This car is going to be redone beyond description. Only then will she be a true Eleanor. The only thing they will salvage here is the body, the current interior, the powertrain, the suspension. They won't make the cut for this Mustang. As with the latest movie Eleanor, this crew insists on using the Mustang Fastback as the starting point for their new rides. But they would never start with a real 1967 Shelby GT500 as the original Eleanor did. With only a handful left in the world, they're real collector's items, with price tags of $125,000 and up. These cars are more likely to be found in a museum than on the scrap heap.
We got our 8-track here. We went through all the rat. We got our diamond plate seats. It's coming out of our choice sound deadening package on our custom stereo system that was wired up. It's rough. It's real rough.
So while Brandon Dawson removes the old sound system, David Reed surveys the outside of the car.
Really impressed with the shell. It's supposed to have been in storage since 1977, I understand. It's the kind we like.
There's your nice bracelet seat.
Hello. That's working.
Let me get that from this side, Bobby.
I can see through it right here, yeah.
All right. We got a big ass problem.
What's the matter?
Look at this.
What's dead under there? Okay. Call in Terminex.
I don't know if I'm going to crawl into that car or not after y'all got all them ants going.
Oh, that's
go
what I said.
somewhere,
I mean, they were under those sound deadening mats and everything.
Actually, we're ready to drop the transmission.
This type of design work requires highly specialised skills. Unique's Bobby Mikus used to run his own hot rod shop, and when he made the move to Farmers Branch, he brought most of his talented crew with him.
It's real difficult to find people in this business that have the, what I call, or David and I call, have the touch.
Holy moly.
It's more like an art than just changing a fender or a door or something like that. You really got to have the touch, and a lot of the older guys have that. Yeah, we'll shake all the bugs loose. Once he gets this cut out, we'll drop the transmission on it.
Well, the box still ain't coming out, though.
Just cut the box blade, that's it.
This gear stick is difficult to remove, but it also provides clues to the identity of the previous owner.
We had an old Ricky Racer back in the 70s, it looks like, for this car. It's one of your homeboy hot rodders. So, looks like they tried to be a stereo freak, too, so they put in their modifications for their stereo system, too. We're eliminating all of that.
The car's body is in good shape. The original driver obviously took real care of his ride.
Basically, this car looks like it's pretty much wreck-free. You know, obviously the fronts are a little boogered up on them, but it hadn't never been hit.
The stubborn gear stick and the extreme stereo aren't the only challenges for these guys. The glove compartment also holds a few surprises.
So we found our rat tone, where all our rat poo is from.
Smells like it, too. Here, jump out of there.
Use that vacuum cleaner handy.
Golly, look at that. What a mess.
After disassembly, Eleanor is a little worse for wear. It's hard to believe that this will soon look like this. But there's one last step before they can start to rebuild her.
As you can see, we physically have stripped this car down to the point to where we're ready for sodium blasting next.
It's quick, it's strong, but not abrasive enough to damage the metal. And it's environmentally friendly to boot. It's baking soda. But this brand shouldn't be kept in the kitchen. It has enlarged particles and sharp edges. No good for baking cakes, but coarse enough to get a tough job done.
We're going to do the inside of this car, the outside, the underside. We're going to remove the undercoating and take off all the paint off the outside of the car. And it's going to take somewhere in the 4 to 7 hour range. So in 1 hour with this machine, we'll use one 50-pound bag of baking soda.
Until she's completely stripped down, they don't know for sure if the car will work. Now that she's had a once-over with the soda blaster, they can get a good look at all the bits and pieces and determine if this car body can be made roadworthy.
We've had some come in that after we sodium blasted, we made the determination we don't want the car. And what we do to that, we usually take and cut up the better pieces of the car and just save them for the next car that comes along, and we'll just basically destroy that and throw it away, what's left, because it's just too far gone. And we've had 2 or 3 so far like that.
Got it?
I got to do one thing here and we can lift it up.
Hold on a minute.
Now they've removed the usable parts, it's time for the first phase of metal fabrication. They make room for new taillights. These originally came from a 1965 Thunderbird. But some parts can't be borrowed or copied. Certain design elements are strictly and absolutely Eleanor.
We had some really kind of righteous elliptical exhaust tips coming out of the rockers that were kind of one-offs that we made. They weren't practical on the movie cars. It's tricky because there's not a lot of clearance under the unibody to get the pipes exiting on the side on a Mustang. You know, it's really, we lowered them and there's not a lot of space for them to come across over under the unibody and exit the sides. So I really don't know how they tackled that with the cars that are in production today, basically.
They did it by cutting straight through the sill. Another design element that's all Hollywood, the petrol cap.
The stock Shelby, correct me if I'm wrong, it's between the taillights for where the gas fill normally goes. We wanted something a little racier, a little more dynamic, you know. And again, it differentiates the stock Shelby from Eleanor.
They'll move the petrol cap to the sail panel and attach it to a new 56-litre fuel cell instead of a metal fuel tank. These brake vents are elements that stay true to the Mustang's original design. On certain models of the first breed of Mustang, these vents were strictly ornamental. When Shelby made his GT models, he installed a functional version, but these soon became the victims of budget cuts.
In '65, everything was functional. Air scoops, all that stuff was functional. '66, semi-functional. '67 and '8, not so functional anymore.
On the movie version of Eleanor, the brake vents were strictly for show. But true to Carroll Shelby's original vision, the brake vents on her latest incarnation are real and do work.
All right, now we got our final piece for our side brake cooler. We're going to go ahead and weld it in place. We're going to be ready to cool those brakes off.
Good thing, because racing brakes can get hot, reaching temperatures of over 800 degrees centigrade. When the car is at the right height, it's easy to install the brake coolers. But the right angle is equally important, and for that, the crew puts the car on a rotisserie.
You're not hallucinating. The car is upside down. It's on a rotisserie. We always install this with a headache rack. It's a 4-point roll bar. It is welded to the bottom torque box, and the 4-point is welded to the wheel tubs. Now, you won't see this when the car is finished. It does have an interior panel over it.
But a new interior panel isn't the only thing she'll have. When it's finished, the car will also be rolling with a lot more horsepower. The car's original engine was a junior-sized 160 horsepower version. To accommodate the monster motor these guys plan to install, they'll need to brace the car's unibody.
Let me see a pry bar real quick. Yeah, pry bar and a hammer. This is the subframe connector. It will, we put this in here to connect the front subframe to the back subframe and strengthen the whole underside of the car.
And once that's done, she'll be ready for the ultimate Hollywood accessory. A 475 horsepower engine that can hit speeds the 65 Mustang could only dream of. All of that power under the bonnet is too tempting for a true car enthusiast to pass up. And American baseball star Jason Giambi is no exception. He's come all the way to Texas to the Unique Performance Hot Rod Shop, where they turn old Mustangs into real-life versions of Eleanor. Once he gets in the driving seat, he's hooked.
When it hits 2,500 RPMs, yeah, be strapped in, because that's the magic number. It puts you in your seat. It's just going to set you back. My chest and back in the seat. You'll take off and you'll go. Well, and then when you hit 2,500, I think that just jumps in, it kicks in, and you're gone.
Jason's got a whole fleet of custom rides in his garage, but he still wants Eleanor.
You know, I have a Ferrari, Lamborghinis, but I've always wanted a muscle car. You know, there's nothing that sounds like when you crank it over and, you know, you jump on it and everything.
Check this out.
So I'm all fired up. Yeah, I went with the big one, too. I got everything. Super Snake.
Just when he's ready to take her home, he spies Eleanor's big sister, the Super Snake.
They brought it down to spring training for me in Florida, in Tampa, at the Yankees complex, for me to drive, just to show me what car I, was getting, because they were all fired up that I bought one. So I went down there, they gave me the car, and I was like, kid on Christmas, to drive it around. And first day, I pulled it into the parking lot. Derek Jeter and those guys, they got, Ferraris and there's Porsches in there, but nobody cared about it. All they cared about was that car. Everybody wanted to have me crank it over, jump on it a few times, burn up the tires a little bit. And it just got me fired up, going, God, I can't wait to get mine. And then they said, at the end of me driving it for a couple days, they came up to me saying, by the way, yours has got 250 more horsepower than the one you've been driving around. So I'm probably going to kill myself, but it'll be a lot of fun.
The two cars look alike from the outside. Same color, same nose, same body. The real difference is under the bonnet.
This car doesn't get any better. This is our Super Snake. 427 big block aluminum engine in it with a Vortex supercharger. Total horsepower, 725. If you can't get where you're going in this, you can't get anywhere. A serious collector would get this car. We're only making 75 of these. Well, the most fun about these cars, I think, is when you push the gas, it's going to go. And it sounds, too. You pull up to a light and you have one of those guys with the little bitty cars that sound like that, and you throw this one in gear, no contest. Good night. Go ahead and fire it up. That's sick right there. 725 horsepower is sick.
The classic American muscle car, the Ford Mustang, is no stranger to Hollywood. She's been in some 500 movies, opposite leading men such as Sean Connery's James Bond, Kevin Costner, Harrison Ford, and Tom Hanks. A 68 Mustang GT390 Fastback saw 10 of the most exhilarating minutes in movie history when she co-starred with Steve McQueen in the thriller Bullet. But this is the most famous of them all. Carroll Shelby GT500, codenamed Eleanor, in the movie Gone in 60 Seconds. And a unique performance in Farmers Branch, Texas, a team of crack custom car artists has made a living out of creating Eleanor replicas for discerning gearheads. The latest version is almost ready for a final paintwork. To get her ready, the fabrication team applies a protective green undercoating.
This car is in real good condition. Usually when we get it, the roof is usually caved in. This roof is in real good condition.
Technician Calvin Iris is a fabrication whiz who first worked on Mustangs in his native Bermuda.
I've been working on cars in the automotive industry for about 20 years. When I first interviewed, this was the body shop. You know, and I really didn't know what to think.
The new front end arrives, and it's clear that this ride is being made over in the style and tradition of a true muscle car.
The elements of the car really work well together. The front valance with the driving lamps and the grille, which is kind of a Trans Am look.
This car will have all the custom touches that Jeff and his crew see fit to install. Not so with the original Eleanor. The Gone in 60 Seconds design team didn't get to add everything they wanted, like larger wheels.
We were 16s is all we could really do to have a decent sidewall and tires. The stunt guys have a lot to say about, you know, if you have a 1-inch sidewall, there's a lot of things that works against as far as stunts and stuff are concerned.
In the end, 12 prop Eleanors were built for the film, each one with its own special function.
There was cars that were built to handle, cars that were built to jump, and cars that were built to just go fast. We had to throw down 460 car that was used in the sequence where it was in the LA River where it just needed to haul ass.
From the car roof to the bonnet, these new parts are made out of fiberglass, the same material that Carroll Shelby used on his GT500s. Synthetic installations make the Mustangs lighter and improve the power-to-weight ratio. Most of the key pieces are in, and they've applied the primer and undercoat. It's time for the final paintwork. In house painting, each coat is allowed to dry before another is applied. On cars, the paint only dries slightly, enough for the chemicals to breathe before the next coat is applied. This process is called flashing, and the timing of each coat is critical. Paint too early, the chemicals build up. Paint too late, the next coat won't stick.
I'll let it flash about 15 minutes, and then mix up my color for the stripes and spray the stripes, and we'll start laying out the stripes on it.
Once the paint and final clear coat are applied, the car is baked, allowing the chemicals to bond. By now, Eleanor's look, black stripes on pepper grey, is legendary. But when the movie car was still in the planning stages, that colour scheme wasn't an immediate hit with movie producer Jerry Bruckheimer.
Jerry really wanted it to be black. And black cars are great, they look great at night, but there's a lot of this show that was taking place during the day into night. So we painted up a couple of cars and brought them down, and everybody kind of walks around, all the suits and all the Disney people and Jerry, and just to kind of see it in the flesh. It's just a fleet color from the DuPont Imron book that I chose. That we did a couple of different silver grays, and that one was a smoke pewter metallic or something.
And so the now iconic black on grey colour scheme was born. But those who want an Eleanor of their own and still want to distinguish themselves from the pack can always go against the grain.
Let's go to this black car here. It's one of my favorites because it is black. It is the reverse of the Eleanor color. Most people, when they get a car, they want the exact car from the movie. the pepper gray with the black stripes. This obviously, as you can tell, is reversed. It has the big wide tires in the back. It's tubbed out back.
The car comes out of the paint booth and the crew gathers to admire the new ride.
I just think it's kind of a testament to the design that it's as popular today as it, that it has legs like it has.
Custom wheels and door panels, a refurbished back end, and a shiny new nose. This Eleanor is really coming together. She's well on her way to becoming yet another unique performance success story. This shop has turned out dozens of Eleanor lookalikes and become one of the best custom hot rod houses in the business. Not too bad for a shop that started with a couple of friends and a passion for hot rods.
Doug and I are childhood friends. We actually went to junior high and high school together. We played high school football. Built his first hot rod back when he was 15 years old, and I was there to watch this Model A actually develop and drive around town. And long history. We go back quite a few years. So a few years back, we had a dream of starting our own hot rod shop, which we did. So we started building our hot rods. I bought a 34 Ford and had it shipped down from Seattle. The second we began on that project, Doug paralleled me and went and built his first Eleanor.
Well, back in 2001, when the movie was released, is where I laid eyes first on Eleanor, and the desire and the passion came out to build this car.
When this movie came out, he's such a car enthusiast that he went down to a swap meet and bought a car, a Mustang. And actually, it was a little bit funny because David and I, we'd been to the same swap meet and looked at the car, and if somebody bought that, it might be a pretty good deal for somebody. And sure enough, the next Monday morning, he comes dragging it up on the trailer. And he said, "Well, do you think you can build one of these?" I said, "Well, I'm sure I can build it, but I'm going to have to get a little bit of detail on it." So I'd already seen the movie, so I went down and bought a CD, and we kind of built the car by frame to frame, if that's what you want to call it, to get the detail of the car. I went home, did a little homework on it, and spent a few hours stopping and starting and drawing pictures and looking. And anyway, that's how his car came about. Actually, we call it the first production car as far as the streetable car. We actually had a lot of people from trying to take some of the original movie cars and trying to put them on the street. They were calling David and I at my shop trying to figure out what we did to get it on the street, and that's basically how this came about.
And so from that point, what happened was we ended up working with Doug, getting that all set up, and once that rolled out of the line, that was where we were really excited to see, because what Doug had done and Bobby had done with the Eleanor car, it just kind of went from there. We started looking, going, well, maybe we could build a few of these.
I think the running joke in the shop today is that first 34 that we bought that we were going to build is still in pieces in the back. It's 2 years later, it's still in pieces. So it took a sideline, and obviously we're spending all of our time building these Mustangs now.
And true to the original machine that inspired them, Chris, Doug, Bobby, and the rest of the crew at Unique Performance create motors that really go. And inside this lorry is the crew's latest success story. An extreme version of Eleanor. It's a drag racer version of the original, piloted by mortgage banker turned race car driver Mike Ashley. And Unique Vice President Bobby Sine is eager to show off the company's prize-winning machine.
This is our new Pro Mod car, the Eleanor, gone in 6.0 seconds. He just took first place in the Houston Invitational. What is it? Houston Invitational. If it's not a name, I just made it up. He won it. He made it in a 6.18, excuse me. I don't fit in this. You can see it. We'll try. Jesse, can we open the door, see if I can get in here? Right leg. Jesus Christ. Head. Shoulders. I'm not going to fit.
This mutant version may have a lot more hardware, But underneath it all, she's pure Mustang, and she's ready to celebrate her ancestry. This is the Mustang Drive across America, a 40th birthday party the whole country can join in. As the party heats up, the crew at Unique Performance scramble to put the finishing touches to another custom Mustang.
Okay, this is our 427 aluminum block motor that comes from Shelby Automotives out of Vegas. This is actually a fully aluminum 427 with aluminum heads. It offers a Vortex supercharger, which puts about 5 to 5.5 pounds of boost into the engine. Horsepower rating on this motor is 725 horse.
But all these toys are not for Eleanor. They're for her big sister, the Super Snake, that these guys are building for American baseball star Jason Giambi.
It comes with a customized hat where we have a Demon carburetor inside, which we actually mark with an indicator with a Super Snake on it.
With most of the key parts already in place, it's time to install the transmission. This Tremec TKO 5-speed.
The TKO is a little stronger transmission, take more of the horsepower and the torque. And also we install a hydraulic throwout bearing on them. As far as the clutch, instead of a cable or a manual style clutch, it's all hydraulic, so it's a lot easier on the driver.
There it is.
Only state-of-the-art will do. Every car that leaves this shop will be included in the next official Shelby American World Registry. The seal of approval from Carroll Shelby, the man who started it all. And only the best will make the cut. They strengthen the drive shaft with a few welds to the U-joint.
If you have U-joint failure, keeps the drive shaft in place so it doesn't drop forward, because if it drops forward, it's always a factor there. You can turn the car over or something, you drop the front part of the drive shaft out.
Not good, especially at 260 kilometers per hour. They install an H-pipe to the front end of the exhaust system. It's specially designed to help equalize the pressure on the engine.
There you go.
Next on the list for a makeover, the suspension.
Okay. Watch your fingers.
They install a high-performance front end featuring fully adjustable shocks. The new engine in the souped-up Super Snake has 3 times the horsepower it had back in 1967, so it will need extra muscle to keep the rear tyres on the pavement. And the guys here have just the thing. This coilover system is one of the most advanced rear suspensions available for vintage Mustangs.
You can adjust the rear end side to side to get it squared up in the car correctly.
Drive it home.
This is the torque arm setup, which it eliminates the wheel hop in the rear suspension on takeoff.
Jason Giambi's custom Super Snake is really coming together. But what about Eleanor? She's nearly finished and ready to go from the shop to show to go. Vintage Mustang fans are hard to please. And when Unique Performance first started making the Eleanor, not everyone liked the idea of turning classics into show cars.
You know, early on in this project, we took a lot of flack early on. Now we're not getting that. A lot of people are really seeing what we're all about. They're being educated from how many cars we're actually building, and the visitors that we get into the facility and they see the kind of cars that we are taking apart and bringing back, that we're really doing something good, you know, in the vintage car world. These cars that we're taking are cars that have not been put on the road. These cars are cars that would probably sit there and rust to a point where they can't be repaired and brought back.
And those who want an Eleanor of their own had better get a move on. Unique is limiting its production to just 475 cars.
As the project has taken hold, I have people throughout the country that may have a car in the garage, may have two that their father had, that knowing this project, knowing Carroll's behind this, they're wanting to send their vehicle to be converted into an Eleanor.
And what better comeback than to make it as a movie star?
When I get someone on the phone, knowing, just finding out that we are doing this car for Mr. Shelby, it's just like a kid in a candy store.
And the candy store includes all sorts of cool custom rides, including Eleanor's little sister, this Shelby GT 350 SR. With a 350 horsepower V8 engine, she's not quite as fast as the movie version. But this little racer is pure Shelby. And she still packs quite a punch.
Well, that's not our normal test drive, but hey, it worked.
And in the latest version of Eleanor, the interior is coming together.
It's a little bit of taking the old, the vintage, and a little bit of the new, high technology, and combining the two. We take vintage muscle cars and we apply the latest technology that's out there on the street.
And if all goes according to plan, she'll soon join them. The crew puts the finishing touches to the interior. And when they're finished, Eleanor will be all systems go. The finishing touches are put to the inside of this Mustang turned movie star, a car just like the one codenamed Eleanor in Jerry Bruckheimer's Gone in 60 Seconds. Like most items on this ride, the interior will be chock full of the latest and greatest custom touches.
You got a Shelby steering wheel.
And in homage to her creator, the crew applies the official Shelby badge.
The last final stroke, when they were all together, was kind of rebadging them, basically, so that you knew that they were a Shelby. So kind of went in and had all the little reproduction emblems that knew where they went on the stalker, and just kind of said, you know what, but proportionally it's like works better here, putting the big snake on the front fender. And that's kind of where they are now in these secondary market cars. They're all in the same places I put them that one day with double stick tape.
It had better look official. Carroll Shelby, the father of the original Mustang, won't put his name on just any old car.
He's been very influential in the project, and I would almost say to a degree hands-on. His fingerprints are all over this car.
It has more than just his fingerprints. It has the ultimate seal of approval. An autograph fascia, hand-signed by Carroll Shelby himself. And true to the movie version of the car, this Eleanor gets a nitrous button in the boot. One blast of this will boost the engine by at least 100 horsepower.
Now for one of my favorite aspects of the car. It's our Go Baby Go button. Got our Shelby insignia. Most people recognize it from the movie. Little clear cover. Snap it into place. You're ready to go.
Yeah, I think most people recognize that this is Eleanor. Of course, the movie Gone in 60 Seconds gave it a lot of notoriety, but I think instantly they connect to it when they see it in public. I've literally been stopped driving down the road in a Suburban with a family of 8, made me pull over, and they took pictures in the car for about 20 minutes.
Honking, waving, taking pictures. Pull into a gas station, people want to take pictures with it.
The other interesting thing is you would think a lot of car enthusiasts are males, but it's about 50-50 out in public. Just as many girls and women wave and whistle this car down as men.
I've had a lot of hot rods, a lot of street rods, but out of all the cars I've ever built, I've ever driven, this one does a lot to other people, and that's what I like about it.
Oh, I drove it up to Las Vegas. I think that they're a lot of fun.
Fun, famous, and ready for the road. The Mustang's magic won her a place in Hollywood's heart, and today, brought back to life, her iconic looks and revamped performance make each and every Eleanor a very special ride.